are here in Garden 6, and we have Patrick Fransen from PEBBLE joining us. At the very beginning, I just want to mention that this session will be recorded, so if anybody would not like to be recorded, please just switch off your cameras. Patrick, you're joining us from PEBBLE, and PEBBLE is an incubator, investor, and private equity fund, but a very, very special one. And I'm curious to learn more in this conversation with you. Patrick will share his story, what brought him here. He will share a few words about PEBBLE, and we agreed to have this more as a dynamic conversation. So if anyone will have questions, please raise your hand, or if you prefer typing it, I will soon drop a Menti link in the chat. You can ask questions there, or as I said, simply raise the hand and we'll have a conversation. Patrick, you shared with me that your purpose is to create a purpose-driven business world where everybody can be 100% themselves, and to do that by connecting people around those system-changing ideas that can change the world for the better. And the PEBBLE is also doing this by creating this purpose-conscious companies with entrepreneurs and investors.
That's correct.
So I'm super curious to hear more about it, to learn more about it. So I'll hand it over to you. The floor is yours.
Thanks, Damian. First of all, thanks all for being here and sharing this moment with me. I always like to start with checking into a meeting to make sure that I'm as in the moment as possible. And I would all invite you to do the same thing for yourselves. So how we check in is just saying to yourself, or out loud is even better, how you feel currently, just in this moment, and then what your intention is for this session. It's not the intention to talk about it, just that you get everything that's going on in your head articulated, and then sink into this special magical moment. So if I do that, I feel a bit nervous, I must say. I lived quite up to this moment to share the purpose that's inside me and that's inside PEBBLE. And yeah, I have some expectations and hope to connect to as many people as possible that resonate with it. That made me a bit anxious because I want to do that really good. And at the same time, that's probably limiting myself to just do it. That's my feeling at the moment, and my intention is the same. My purpose is to, and that of PEBBLE is to support the emerging consciousness in the world by building conscious purpose companies where everybody can be 100% themselves and contribute from that the best authentic version of what they have to bring to the world. And I'd like to, my intention is to connect with as many of you that resonate with this now in this moment, and after that, feel free to reach out. I invite you all and connect and see how we can make that happen together. Check in. Well, that really summarized everything that I wanted to say. So we could just leave it at that. But we have an hour, so let's maybe go into that. The title of my session is behind me. You can read it. And that's the question that I just gave the answer to. So how can entrepreneurs and investors create massive social impact, positive social impact on the world without compromising on your private life or sacrificing companies' profitability? And the answer to that question is really super simple. It's just be yourself and do what you have to do. That's it. Life is super simple. And if you all just do that, then we will live a fulfilled life and have a fantastic society. Now, what is the difficult part, and why is not everybody doing that? Well, actually, that's not right what I'm saying.
Sorry,
everybody...
I think the interpreter is speaking at the same time you are. It's really hard to hear what you're saying.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm the only one that's seeing this.
I don't hear interpreters, so maybe it's on your side, Dunya. If you click on the interpretation.
I'm asked for the interpreter. Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
All right. Is everybody okay? Yeah, great. Thanks. So where was I? Yeah. I say, why is not everybody doing that? That's already a limiting belief, because everybody is doing that with the authentic parts and the inauthentic parts that are inside of us. So the difficult part is, who am I? And what am I here to do? But the funny thing is that it's already inside you, and you know it already. You know it when you came here, when you were born. You came with that plan to do something. And then the difficult part is that during the years, all these kind of layers came on top of it that told you, or that you actually attracted, that you thought this is what I have to do, which are mostly authentic, but also some of them are not who you are. And you have to unlearn those things. You have to, well, you don't have to, they limit yourself to be 100% yourself. And that is really the challenge to overcome. And I did that all my life. So I'm now 42, and I usually say, I specialized myself in not being myself for 40 years. So I'm now 42, so it's quite a while. And how did I do that? I tell you something about some stories about myself. Around my 15th, I was hurt in a relationship. That's maybe an interesting part of story. I was hurt in a relationship that felt so great. And then I made the decision, this feels so painful. I'm never going to trust my intuition ever again. And I'm going to rationally, because that gave me safety at that time, I'm rationally going to always evaluate all my options, and I will always choose the best option. Wow, was that a painful decision I made? So for 20 years, whenever something felt right to me, I start to question it. Is this really right for me? Is this really the right thing to do? Let's take some external, how do you say that? Objective measures to evaluate whether that's really right for me. That ended up that I chose at 18 years to study engineering in computer science of all matters. With my head, I thought, yes, this is cool because my parents tell me it's a smart thing to study something that's smart that the world needs. I will do that. So for 5-6 years, I studied that. It was really a pain because I didn't study the engineering with my heart. I studied the engineering just to be a smart guy. Because when I'm be smart and I have that degree, then I will be good enough for this world. It didn't happen, of course. So by the end, I graduated with hard work, but I felt really exhausted. So then I thought, maybe in professional life, I'm gonna make the right decision. I want to do something that's more human, but still I had this dynamic in myself that I had to be smart and that I had to work hard. So what came to me, or the situation that I attracted, I became a business consultant. I thought, yeah, that's a smart choice. A lot of people doing that, charismatic, inspiring people, and wow, changing the business world and giving advice to top management. Yes, that's a smart thing to do. I did that for 5 years at one of the big 4 companies that had an up or out model. So I said, yes, I need to be a partner there. And once I'm a partner, then I will have made it. Then my life will be, then I will have achieved success. So after 6 years, it's always 6 years with me. I don't know why, but after 6 years, it didn't happen. I didn't get promoted to manager there. And I thought, oh, what's going on? What's wrong? And then I started my own consulting company. I thought, yeah, this is a smart move. Then I can just be a manager, and I'm even an entrepreneur and a partner. So I did that for 10 years. Yes, 10 years. It was really successful. I did it with 3 partners, by the way, not alone. We built it out until 70 people, 70. And then we sold it for millions of euros to a large tech company. And I thought, yes, this is it. Now I will have achieved it. But still, it didn't happen. It still didn't have that fulfilled, achieved feeling. And why was that? Because I was not being myself. It's just as simple as that. But 7 years ago, during when I was a partner at my own company, we were then, I think, 40 or 50 people. I did the biggest project that I sold. So that was really the epiphany moment for me. I sold the biggest project to the biggest client, with 3.5 million euros for the project. 50 people, not all from our consulting company, but I was the program manager. Yes, I thought this is gonna be it. And if I do this project right, I will be able to sell hundreds or tens, dozens of consultants, and I will be a successful entrepreneur. After a year, the client kicked me out and said, Patrick, we're gonna go on without you because the project doesn't work. And that was really a super painful experience at the time. So you can imagine you're 40 or 50 people in your company. You think you're smart, or you're working your ass off to be smart, to tell everybody what to do, to inspire them, to sell big deals, to create career paths for all these people. And then suddenly you're in the project that you think this is gonna be the one that's going to prove me, you're kicked out. And that was really, looking back now, the epiphany moment, the biggest gift of life, to say, Patrick, what you started when you were 15 years old, denying your intuition and what you really have to do, I gave you, and life gave me so many signals, first in engineering, then in the big corporates, then now here, and you still don't get it. You still don't embrace the signals. And then I did it. Then I said, okay, this is really something that I have to look at myself, because I don't feel happy in my own company. And if you don't feel happy in your own company, there's no one you can look at. Eh? You're the one who's doing it. So you look around and you say, I'm not happy in my company. You cannot go to your employees and say, please make me happy, make this a great company. No, the only person you can look at is yourself. And I did it. It was such a relief. It was such a relief. It happened first. I started meditating. I started meditating a year before that. And it was the first time that I felt relief getting out of my head, back into my heart, in my body, and saying, wow, all these anxious feelings and these have-tos that I have to chase, all these illusions that my head is talking to me and judging and telling me what to do. I don't have to do all that. It is there, but the real Patrick is below it, is here. And I could observe all those thoughts, all those beliefs. And I said, wow, I've done this to myself. I thought I had to be smart. I thought I had to work hard. I thought I was not good enough, except if I did exceptional things. I cried a lot when I really saw that, because of all the pain that I caused myself for 25 years then, 20 years, now 25 years ago, when I made that decision not to trust myself anymore. But then it was gone. It was gone.
So
The
Patrick,
feeling
you
that
spent 20 years being kind of locked in this belief that
yes,
you felt from inside yourself that something was wrong, but you were kind of always living out to the expectations of the outer world and trying to achieve more and more and more.
yes,
Until you really
expectations of the
realize there's no
outward.
one else to blame on, and then now you're taking on some initiative to actually help other people in this journey. Thanks
That
for
was
sharing
the
this
epiphany
experience.
moment for me, indeed, that I not only lived the expectations of others, I lived the expectation that I thought others had of me. So I created those expectations myself. And that was the big epiphany. And now this was the first one. I thought I was not good enough for the world, so I have to work hard to do exceptional things, which is completely nonsense. And then in the past 7 years, first I came out of that closet and I thought, wow, people now will think I'm crazy because I'm an entrepreneur and I have to be strong and I say these things, these vulnerable, painful things. They will think I'm crazy and I will get kicked out of the business world, which was done by this bank that I worked for, but I actually created that myself. And then slightly, I felt, okay, this truth that is inside me, that's not mine, but that runs through me, that's the current that I have to follow. And that feels so great. And it goes by itself. I don't have to work hard for it. It just gives me more energy than I invest in it all by itself. Is this really real? Because it can be valuable if it didn't cost a lot of hard work. That was another limiting belief of myself. And I let go of that. And now, and that was the epiphany more and more that I had to follow that way. And when I sold the company, it was such a relief, a burden of my shoulder that fell off. I spent 3 years figuring out what I wanted to do. And I said at one point, 2 years ago, I still remember it, it's exactly 2 years ago, it was in March, when we were negotiating with the acquirer that bought our company for a settlement to be able to move on. I said, what is it really that I want to do, that I dream of? And I said, this process where you can be 100% yourself and discover who you are, and also with these painful, limiting tensions and anxieties, and also with the good parts, with the authentic, flowing parts, organic, flow, light, energy, creativity, whatever, but also with these tensions that you can transform and become more conscious. That's what we mean with conscious, is looking at those things that you have inside you and then transforming them and becoming a more authentic version of yourself that is already who you are. That's what I would like to do. If I can give a contribution to that, wow, that would be really fulfilling. And secondly, I thought, as that's what I'm going to do, that's my purpose. first by trying to live as conscious as possible myself, and secondly, if I build another company or anything like that, do it in a as conscious possible way. And then literally, we signed the settlement with the acquirers to go separate ways. And 1 week later, I meet the founders of PEBBLE. And I said, yeah, very humbly, I want to work on the emerging consciousness in the world. And they said, but that's also what we do. I said, you're kidding me, right? Yeah, we have 10 companies and we do that. I said, this is really true. And can you make money out of it? Yes, of course, you can make even much more money out of it, but that's not the purpose. The purpose is who you are, and just be yourself and do what you have to do. So be yourself is being more conscious or becoming conscious and growing in that consciousness with everything that you have. And then doing what you have to do is, yeah, that's purpose. Huh? That's just what do you have to bring to the world. And as you grow in consciousness, it becomes so much clearer. And so my purpose became so clear. It was so clear, and it's still so clear that I just want to support in any kind of way this evolving consciousness, which is happening inside of us the whole time already now. And for me, a little bit more specific, I want to do that by connecting people to deep insights in themselves usually, and system-changing solutions, system-changing purposes.
Patrick, maybe it's a good time. We have a first question that actually asks, so what is PEBBLE's approach to foster this purpose-driven business environment, and how do you help people to reach that epiphany moment that you had to reach it earlier in their career? What is PEBBLE's role in there?
So at PEBBLE, we invite entrepreneurs and investors, but mainly entrepreneurs, and we call them leaders, or doesn't matter, entrepreneurs that say, yes, I want to get to know myself to the deepest depths and even go in those dark alleys where I don't want to go and hide away a little bit and get to know myself from the heart. And secondly, from that, I want to discover my purpose, or I already know what my purpose is, and I want to build an organization with that purpose as the pinnacle, as the compass for the whole organization. And I want to do that in a way that I'm okay and take the heartfelt decision to be the embodiment of that purpose for the whole organization, and create an environment where everybody can get to know themselves into the deepest depths. It's that safe, but also give the autonomy where all the people that resonate with this purpose can contribute autonomously the best way they feel they can contribute their talents to achieve this purpose. And those are the two foundational principles we ask to all the entrepreneurs. Do you want to go that way? And if they say yes to those two, there's still a third, but I'll get to that later. If they say yes to those two, then we start the discovery phase where we will get to that bottom. We will get to those deepest depths, like the examples that I gave about myself, and see if we can move together on these vulnerable deepest depths where there is where all these tension, but also the authentic part and the tension can just be and can be accepted. And the great thing is that we have a number of steps to do that. And if they say yes to those, we also look at the business. Because the funny thing is, or the fantastic thing is that the way your organization runs is a one-to-one reflection to the consciousness of the leaders. So whatever you have, like me, limiting beliefs, it will reflect in how your business runs, in your sales, in your finances, in the way you organize the work, in your strategy. So we look at all those elements. First, we do a mental due diligence. So we see, can we go to those deepest depths in a safe manner? And does it feel okay for both of us? And then we look at all the business parts. What is actually the purpose that you want to contribute to the world? What is your business model? What are the products that you already have? How commercially effective are you to connect the people on this purpose and do sales? And how are the finances of the company? And the great thing is that this energetic human level, where you go into deep, intangible being, and the form matter, where the company is just selling products that bring tangible benefits to customers, is just one-to-one related to each other. So whatever runs well and is in flow and has energy and creativity, you can leave it at that, it's perfect. Wherever there is friction, there you can learn something about yourself or collectively as an organization. Where the friction is, usually what we see is when, and we go, and to answer your question, with PEBBLE, we have an approach to take all these tensions and to invite even those tensions, because that is the part where the biggest growth in the company can be achieved. Usually, how do you see that? If there's a problem arising, people find solutions. Usually it's not hard to solve. A business is really simple. If those solutions are implemented and it goes well, then you know, there is no limiting belief on that. But if you see those solutions don't get implemented, then you know you have to go and look at yourself or at the team, at the collective consciousness, because then there are limiting beliefs going on that people can't get let go. And then we go to those beliefs, we transform them like I did it, by going into the pain in a safe manner, transforming it. And then you will see the day after, even the day itself, those solutions will come up. It creates space for those solutions and they are implemented. And that is you could call it culture, but that is the atmosphere that we, together with the entrepreneur, and the entrepreneur is in the lead at his pace, creating this space for the company towards their purpose. That's what we do.
There is a related question. What role does the business model and design for profit play in a purpose-led organization? And you mentioned that you're looking at the business model as well.
Yes.
When you noticed that the company was primarily designed for profit, you kind of said the purpose and business model, they should go one to one. How do you help them connect it if they haven't done it? How do you recognize that it's disconnected? And maybe tell us more about this friction.
Great question. Great question. First, we start by move back to what I said first. And so the answer to the question is just be yourself and do what you have to do. It is that simple. So by the consciousness, we move the limiting barriers so it can be truly 100%. Secondly, and that's the first step in the answer to your question, we formulate the purpose in all its finest nuances. So we have an exercise where we go with the leader or leaders. Usually, in our case, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 people maximum, and we articulate actually what is truly the purpose that this person has inside himself or herself. We do that for all the leaders. And then we look at the purpose of the organization, because it was a big learning for me, or insight, that purpose is already inside you. But if you put people together, even 2 people, 5 people, 10 people, or thousands of people in a big corporate, and they start working together, the purpose of that company is already there. It's not about defining what the purpose is, it's about discovering what the purpose is. So we do that. So we discover it first in the leaders, and then we discover it, okay, what is the company currently actually contributing? And we compare those two together. And that's what we do in the diagnostic. If you see that there is the gap is too big, it will not work. It will not work. Then then we even, there are different solutions. Either you spin out a part of the company and find a leader that does resonate highly with that part of the purpose. And otherwise, you have to adjust the business model that it resonates with that one of the leaders. That's how we do it. And that can be, that can be a big work, or that can be a big change. But once the leader, that's why we say conscious purpose company and not just purpose company. You see, if the people, if the leader has a lot of limiting beliefs, like I had, then you will see in the business model as well a lot of activities, products, services that do not resonate with his purpose. And you will also see that there is the biggest friction, or it costs him a lot of energy. So we do those exercises, like we look at the leaders, we look at the company, and then compare how much overlap is there. And then we decide, okay, what to do. In the solution is usually 3 things: work on the consciousness of the leader. So he looks at himself and say, indeed, this is what I'm ought to do, and not those things. Secondly, we translate then from the purpose of the leader, what is the optimal business model that actually realizes that purpose? And I can give you an example, because this is all theory. One of our companies, it's to grow. You'll hear much more about that this year, because they're literally an international breakthrough as we speak. Their purpose is actually to give 20% of agricultural space back to nature. That is the purpose of the company. And how they do that? They apply smart farming technology, so agriculture can be optimized in drastic ways. I'm not talking about 5 or 10%, but 30, 40, 50%. So they have a number of technologies that do this. And at first, we just sold the technologies to farmers, to growers, actually, to growers, farmers and growers. But we learned that just by selling the technology, actually the behavior of the farmers and the growers does not change. It was already profitable, more or less. But then we said, okay, to really realize this purpose, we have to apply the technology, but we also have to give growth advice, so that the grower actually gets from the data and the technology the insights how to optimize the way of growing crops. And once we twisted that, so we just changed the business model. It was not for more profits, it was for more impact. And then we optimized the commercial and the financial model to fully optimize this bill, so the profit is maximized. But the starting point is the purpose. And then you see 2 things happening in a company if you do that. First of all the people that are there, that see this happening, they suddenly get super energized and creative. They say, but now indeed, in the decisions we take, in the products that we develop, in the business model that we pursue, this is why I'm here. And it resonates with their personal purpose, so they are unleashed. When we do this, it's usually 70% of the people that all of a sudden, literally in the snap of a moment, they change. The whole company changes. And the 30% that is confused said, oh, what's happening here? Is that what I really want to do? And then usually 20% has themselves some kind of a limiting belief that you can give insight to, and then they say, yes, this is really me, but I was not doing, for example, the right role in this organization, or I was doing activities that are not my talent. So by changing the way you work, and this the Teal, how the Teal comes in, and the self-steering comes in, we move the company around. So usually 90% of the people are really engaged and committed and know themselves how to contribute to that purpose. And 10% realize it's not my purpose. And they usually feel like, it was already some kind of a weird situation, awkward, that I didn't feel 100% comfortable. And with those people, we have a conversation. And if there are other purposes in our ecosystem of companies that do resonate, they can go there. But usually they say, thanks for this insight. I have to move on. Is that an answer to your question, Daniel?
I think it is. And in the meantime, we are getting more and more questions. So I'll just continue if you're okay with that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
The next one is
I can talk about this for days.
And the next question on impact, you mentioned impact. So how do you measure the impact so it is comparable for investors across companies and industries?
I must be honest, we don't. Or we don't do it the way that I thought I had to do it, by putting KPIs and how is the impact measured, etc., etc. But we should do that, I think. That's something we can work on, how to make it even more tangible. But what we do is that we translate, actually we do measure it. We translate the purpose and the business model really into tangible achievements. So for example, for PEBBLE, we translated, okay, we want to enable the emerging consciousness in the world, and we want our big unlimited goal is, what we authentically felt is that we want to reach 10% of the world, which is 1 billion people. So that's a KPI. And we translated in, okay, how many companies does that need? And if we estimate that we would need around 10 to 30,000 companies like that, where all between 500 and I think it was 1,500 people would work. And then if you do that, if they all impact 3 people every year, then it takes between 15 and 40 years to realize it. That's how we measure it. And every year we say, okay, how many companies are we going to do? And we keep track of that. That's how we do it for PEBBLE. And so we do measure it that way. And 20% of agricultural space, you could also measure that. I don't know if they do that, but I'm sure they do. Now, the tricky part is that those numbers and those figures become an identification, and that you feel unsuccessful if you're not on track of that. So we did it, and then you let go of those numbers and you just feel what you have to do. And you create the impact, and you're surprised by life that it goes even much simpler and faster than you can think of in your mind. Okay, so, but so that's a little bit still, I feel that a blind spot in myself, because I did the engineering and I was so fed up with numbers. I still have an injury on that. So whenever people start, how do you measure it? I get triggered in like, It's not about measuring, just feel what you have to do and do it. But it's also good to have numbers. I realized that. And because it filters out, but that's still a belief that I'm transforming for myself. So yes, I think we should do it.
So you're not taking this approach that we can see in big corporates in CSRs, you know, to measure, to have an accounting for impact, but you rather kind of try to sense whether the intention that you had is actually taking place.
Well, what I noticed when I was an engineer and wanting to work hard, I spent so much time on these numbers until I was exhausted. But it's good to do it, but do it 10 minutes. That's my my take and my learning that I still have to apply myself. Do it 10 minutes, and if you feel it, you just make a quick calculation, and that's right, and then you know where to go. And balance the emotional, energetic part with tangible numbers and go back and forth. Like, okay, do we do 5 companies this year? Do we do 10 companies? Oh, 10 feels a little bit a lot, 10, but that's that impact. And then do a quick calculation. How many people are we? We do all those things, how much effort, more or less, and then you have a plan, and then let it loose and just put it as a goal and feel where you have to go.
Perfect, thank you. So we are less than 20 minutes to the full hour, and we have a lot of questions. And I see the first live question here. So I'll give the word to Bianca. Please join us. And
yeah, thanks. I like live questions. I like to feel more than be in my head talking.
Yes. So thank you, Patrick, for sharing both your personal journey and also the authenticity with which you shared it with. So my question is actually, I went on the PEBBLE website before. And I saw that there were 3 pillars, one on like purpose, one on increasing self-awareness, and the third one actually on how to provide context for self-managing teams. And I'm actually really curious about this third pillar. Like, what does it specifically look like? Like, how do you guys provide that context so teams also become more effective, empowered, and self-aware? And I guess if I dare to add something to that is I'm actually also really fascinated, like if you remember like a really poignant example of how either you yourself or maybe an entrepreneur that you supported, like how did you manage to take away the barrier to being themselves, so to speak? So I guess this is kind of a 2-in-1 question, like if you have an example.
Thanks Bianca for the question.
Thank you.
Another injury of mine is that I don't like to write websites because you have to make a choice of what to write instead, and it's always limiting. So actually we have 6 pillars that we work with. First one, and so if we go through the process to get to know the entrepreneur to the deepest level, then we embark on a journey where we work on 6 levers. The first one is individual coaching of the leader on his personal consciousness. Second one is actually support the leader and the company wide to become a Teal company. We call it purpose-driven company, but since it's Teal around the world, we say Teal. And it means a number of, I'll just first do the pillars and then I'll get into that organizational part. The third one is the strategic part. So we really very to the point discover with the leader what is actually the purpose in all its finest nuances. We translate it into a business model and also into a lean startup-like approach, how to move on beyond the current bottlenecks in the company to actually take those steps. The fourth pillar is actually linked to the organization. We train all the people in the companies on 2 critical skills, which is one, getting things done, and is secondly, nonviolent communication. I will get to that because that answers part of your question. Fifth one, we look at the commercial part, the sales part. What are your sales ratios? What are your conversion ratios? So the hard part of sales, but also how do you connect with all the stakeholders that you need, including your clients, on your purpose? Because sales is really that, just connecting on your purpose and then inviting the right customers that you need. It's just really as simple as that. 6 is the financial part. Like, how do you always have limited resources, so you have to put them at the best place. So look at the whole finance part of the company and make it as auto-financing as possible, so that your growth actually, that your finance actually does not limit your growth. It's not always possible, but to give an example, with that company to grow, we did the exercise again last year. We thought that we needed 800,000 euros to take the next step and to finance these technologies. We completely refigured it, and now it's really self-financing. So we didn't need any loan, any investments whatsoever. But on your question on the organization, there is to support the people, it's really those 2 skills. We look at Teal, conscious Teal, or whole Teal, that all the tensions can be there. If there is a tension, you can just solve it. It's really easy. If it's not easy, you can learn something about yourself. I already explained that part. That's conscious Teal. But obviously, what we all know, I suppose you all know that we moved from orange companies, maybe through green, into Teal companies, or we are doing that transformation as we speak, as a society. And one of the biggest system errors in an orange company is trust. So actually, the principle of an orange company, which is also good, it has good things, is if you do well, you get rewarded. And actually, that's good. The good thing about that is it boosts innovation and it boosts progress. But the difficult thing about it is you cannot be yourself, because if you do things well, you get rewarded, but also the flip side. If you don't do things well, you get penalized. And if you believe in Teal companies and in purpose-driven companies, you say it's not the fault of the people, it's not the fault of the managers or the CEOs, it's ingrained in the system. We are playing football here in an orange system. If you don't tackle, you don't win the game. It's as simple as that. So in a Teal company, you move that angle, this angle, how you call it, this thing out of it, by saying it's not the people who do well that get the most rewards and get the power to take decisions. You move the power of decisions to where the activity is. But to do that, and I apologize for the wording, that's pretty fucking scary. Because you, as a leader, you have to let go of control. You have to be able to trust your people 100%, knowing that it will go wrong. You know that it goes wrong. But also on the people side of things, it's a complete shift. The shift is, I don't have the safety anymore of a manager that tells me what to do, and if I don't do well, I just push it up the ladder. So you have to take accountability and responsibility and feel in yourself, how can I contribute to that, to an organization where there is nobody who will still tell me what to do? How do I do that? And how do we support that? We support the leader in the organizational part, how you can be a trustful, inspiring leader. And as I said, it's very easy. Just be yourself and do what you need to do. And on the people's part, you need those 2 skills. First, if nobody tells you what to do, you need to have a way to manage yourself. And getting things done, it's a fantastic way to organize yourself. And secondly, if we're gonna create a whole company where you can both talk about your successes, but also about the failures and the tensions that you experience, you need to be able to do that at the safety level, that it's okay to talk about those tensions and say, I feel anxious about this. I don't feel comfortable with that. And that's why we need nonviolent communication, to be hard on the issue, but not on the person.
Thanks.
Is
a
that
very
an answer to
important
your
thing,
question?
right?
I think that answers the question in regards to the pillars and also how you provide context for the teams, but it didn't answer the like question about if you have an example of.
Yes, I have an example.
Yeah.
There's so many examples we actually experienced in PEBBLE itself. So last year, our ego took a little bit a stroll with us. And we were 10 companies. We're doing this for 7-8 years. We confirmed so many assumptions that we take. And so yes, we can create conscious companies. Yes, we can create a safe environment where people can grow. Yes, we can create a Teal company. Yes, we can be profitable. Yes, we can move sales, etc., at such and such and such. So we said, now it's ready for the next step. We're going to raise 25 million euros. We're going to copy this model in cells of pebbles and waves. That's why it's called waves. Each wave will have 10, 15 conscious business coaches like myself. If you do 15, this is our Teal model. 15, it's 3. I spare you the details, but there is a reasoning why there's 15. That's all the skills that we need. And then with 25 million, it's self-sufficient, it's profitable as a cell. And we just copy that all around the world. Yes, let's do that. It felt so great. And we're still going to do that, but we completely messed up last year, or completely messed up. We attracted, according to our own principles, entrepreneurs with money that were willing to invest in this, with super high alignment on consciousness. And let's say, it's also my consciousness that have entrepreneurial background, so can contribute. And then we said, okay, so we found those 15. We put them all together. We did a week of energetic work, supported by an energetic coach. I will spare you the details. What we did was really funny. And then we thought, we're there. We had money. We already had raised 6-7 million just by calling some friends. So we thought, okay, now we need the team. We put the team, and then the money will roll in. The investments roll in, and we had 40 companies in our deal pipeline. So it all seemed perfect, and it completely blocked on the team. So we were 5 and 3, me and the 2 founders, working full-time on PEBBLE, the other 2 working on a company as well. We loaded 10 people that are super aligned and said, this is going to work, this is going to fly. And we start the fund. It was a disaster. It was a disaster. So there are so many learnings. One of them is one of the founders. He still had let's say we didn't have a core team. That was one of the learnings. We didn't have a core team. So as the 3, now it seems like we are the 3 that are the core team. We were not tight enough aligned between ourselves that this is really what we are going to do, and we're going to go through all the barriers together. That was one learning. So it was in our minds, we thought we were there and we had those 10 people said, we knew it, we have the model here, go and do it. And we move on to wave 2 and create another wave. That was not the right way to do it. But we had to, and there was this discussion, and we even have a company that does Teal consulting, so they consulted us in how to do Teal while we are doing it with our companies, and we couldn't figure out how this, we did the cells, we did the circles, we did all the shebang, and still there were so many tensions, and it fell apart. And it came down to, you really need the core leaders to be super tightly together and fully committed. That was one of the learnings. Another one was, in my angle. So I'm a lot inviting entrepreneurs to begin to work this way, and also find new partners for PEBBLE that can join the team. I also thought that once you go to those depths and you transform together those really deep things, that you have a bond forever. Well, it's not true. It's not only true, you also need that. But then I pushed, that's a limiting belief of myself, I pushed too much and I pulled too much on those people. Now you saw it, consciousness, here go, you felt it yourself, you felt how it can be done in such a safe environment. Now you cannot say no to this, right? It felt to me that it's so obvious to do this. It should be for you the same thing. It's a super limiting belief of myself. So now what we're doing is, it took 6 months to completely shift this. We already had the investors, so we are subscribing them into a loan. Anyway, so we have the means to invest in new companies. That part is covered. We still have people that are interested to join. And I do the invitation to all of you to become an entrepreneur this way or to become a PEBBLE team member. It's all open, but we're going to do it in an organic pace that feels right for that person and for us. And to figure this out was such a, that was a tremendous transformation. So what we're doing now, we have the means to do 3 companies a year. We still have some work to scale some companies, which one of them is to grow, and there's some other that are on the verge of a really massive breakthrough, which will then, of course, cause a lot of probably pull into the ecosystem. We figured out our own finances for the PEBBLE model, because it worked with that idea of 15 people, but now we're just 5, and we cannot raise 25 million, so we had to find another business model. We did that, and now we can slowly, as those companies are attracted, with the 3 of us and the 5 of us that are super tightly, we can on the right pace onboard new team members, and that we gave ourselves a year, 2 years to take that step, and then to all the waves all over the world. We're still going to do that. Is that a good example?
Sharing, I think you really gave a good example, and having, stressing out that organic is really, that's the key. That's wonderful. I can't believe we are already approaching the full hour, which means who wants to start cooking with Deep will be able to do that in the main garden. Patrick, one quick final question, but just in one quick sentence. So the PEBBLE approach sounds promising. Is it an individual mentorship program for entrepreneurs, like grow yourself and the company, or do you focus on the whole companies? And I believe you address also leaders within the company and maybe even more.
We start with the leader, but it's really a collective collective exercise, and we support the leaders to bring this out to the whole company, but we also with the training of all the people, And we're also experimenting with means to move the consciousness in a collective way. The coaching is really, of the leader is really individual, but to the people, they can also join it if they really want, but we also have collective ways to do this.
And I hope...
As an endpoint, I really want to thank all of you for being here. And as I said, if this resonates as an entrepreneur, I have to turn this way, that way. Check out our website, get in touch, just ping me, LinkedIn, whatever. I'm always happy to talk to entrepreneurs or investors that resonate with consciousness or want to achieve their purpose and want to do it this way.
Thank you so much, Patrick. Very interesting story. Thank you for sharing. And it calls almost for another hour. I think we would be able to talk much more.
It's an infinite path, so time doesn't really matter.
Exactly. So let's connect, everyone. Thank you so much for Patrick, and
thanks.
I'm wishing you a lovely day. Let's see what is cooking in Deep's kitchen in the main garden. Thank you all.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Patrick, so much.
Bye-bye, everyone. Take care.